They protected a drunk driver who destroyed my sister's hearing. Now I need to find out why. I was reviewing a client's divorce papers when my phone rang. Riverside Hospital. Your sister Lily was in a school bus accident. She's in critical condition. Please come immediately. I dropped everything and ran to the parking lot. No jacket, November in Minnesota, and I didn't even feel the cold. My hands shook so hard I couldn't get the key in the ignition for 3 tries. Lily was 7 years old, the only family I had left after our parents died in that house fire 3 years ago. The hospital was 20 minutes away. I made it in 12. I burst through the emergency room doors and there he was, the bus driver, Martinez according to his uniform, sitting in the corner of the waiting room, talking on his phone like nothing happened. I told them I only had 2 beers this morning. His voice carried across the room. Just 2, before my shift. I froze. Yeah, the district said they'd handle it. Weather incident. That's the story. A nurse touched my shoulder. Mr. Chen, I'm Sarah. Your sister is stable, but her injuries are severe. She has a grade 3 concussion with subdural hemorrhaging. The trauma to her left temporal region caused permanent hearing loss in that ear. Permanent. That word kept echoing while Martinez kept talking. No, the cops already came. Officer Blake wrote it up as wet roads. We're good. I walked over to him. You were drunk driving kids? He jumped up, phone clattering to the floor. You didn't hear anything. You just admitted it. 2 beers before driving children. Keep your voice down. He looked around frantically. Colton said it's handled. You don't understand how this works. My 7-year-old sister can't hear because you were drunk. Officer Blake appeared from nowhere. Sir, I need you to calm down. The official report states wet road conditions caused the accident. No evidence of impairment was found. I just heard him say he had 2 beers before. Blake cut me off. You're emotional. Traumatic situations make people mishear things. The investigation is closed. Martinez smirked behind him. I pulled out my phone and checked the weather app. November 14th. No rain for 8 days. Not a drop. The road was bone dry this morning. A hospital janitor pushing a mop bucket whispered as he passed. 3rd bus accident this year. Always blame the weather. Kevin? A small voice from behind the curtain. Kevin, I can't hear you in my left ear. Why can't I hear anything? I pushed through to find Lily, so small in that hospital bed. Dried blood still matted in her hair, her left eye swollen shut. She kept touching her left ear, confused. The doctor pulled me aside. Initial treatment estimate is $47,000. We'll need multiple surgeries for the hemorrhaging. The hearing loss is irreversible. Insurance coverage is pending the district's investigation. $47,000. I made $38,000 a year as a paralegal. The automatic doors whooshed open. Richard Colton walked in wearing a $1,000 suit, flanked by 2 lawyers, the district superintendent himself, here at 10 at night. Mr. Chen. He didn't offer his hand. I understand you're upset. Any parent would be. I'm her brother, her only family. I see. Well, spreading false accusations about our driver could result in defamation charges. We take protecting our employees seriously. Your employee just admitted to drinking before driving. That's a serious allegation with no proof. Our investigation found wet roads caused this unfortunate accident. He pulled out a document. This is a cease and desist notice. Any further harassment of Mr. Martinez or slanderous statements about the district will result in immediate legal action. One of his lawyers stepped forward. The district employs 800 people, Mr. Chen. We have resources you don't. Consider your next actions carefully. My sister has permanent hearing loss because you hired a drunk driver. Colton's face didn't change. What I hear is a grieving family member creating conspiracy theories. Get some rest. Take care of your sister. Move on. They walked out together, Martinez trailing behind them. He glanced back at me and mouthed 2 words. Drop it. I looked at Lily trying to hear the nurse with her one good ear. At the stack of forms already piling up, at the text from my boss asking why I'd abandoned a client meeting. They protected a drunk driver who destroyed my sister's hearing, covered it up like routine business. How many other kids had they hurt? How many other families had they threatened into silence? I wasn't dropping anything. I needed to find out why a school district would protect someone who endangered children. What were they hiding that was worth more than my sister's hearing? This was just the beginning. 3 weeks after the accident, I filed a Freedom of Information Act request for Martinez's driving records. The response came back in 48 hours. Personnel records are confidential. Request denied. Not even a reason, just denied. I called 7 law firms that week. Every conversation went the same way. A paralegal versus the school district? Don't waste your money, Mr. Chen. You'll lose. The last attorney was more blunt. Nobody in this state will take your case. The district has 3 firms on retainer. They'll bury you in paperwork until you're bankrupt. I was sitting in the hospital cafeteria researching FOIA appeals when my boss called. Kevin, you've missed 4 days of work in 2 weeks. I understand your sister needs you, but we have clients who need their documents filed. I'll make up the hours. I can work from the hospital. That's not how a law office operates. His voice got harder. You're obsessed with this bus accident thing. Sarah says you spend all day making calls about driver records instead of working on client files. My sister has permanent hearing loss because they hired a drunk driver. That's unfortunate. But it's not our fight. Either you're back at your desk Monday morning focused on actual work or don't come back at all. I looked at Lily through the cafeteria window. She was in physical therapy, learning to walk straight with her balance destroyed in one ear. The therapist had to keep catching her when she veered left. I'll be there Monday. Good. And Kevin? Drop this crusade. You're a paralegal, not a lawyer. Stay in your lane. I hung up and opened my laptop. 17 browser tabs of Minnesota state law, public employment records, sunshine laws. There had to be a way to get Martinez's history. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Mr. Chen? This is Patricia Wells. I'm an attorney. I heard you're looking for representation against the district. My chest tightened. Yes. Can you help? She paused. I want to be clear. I'm not offering to represent you. I'm calling to give you advice. Stop what you're doing. Richard Colton has ended careers over smaller slights than this. He has judges who owe him favors, politicians who need his endorsement. You're 28 years old with no money and no connections. He'll destroy you. He protected a drunk driver who hurt my sister. You think you're the first person to discover something dirty in that district? You're not even the first this year. But Colton always wins. The people who fight him end up unemployed, bankrupt, or worse. Is that what you want for your sister? To watch her only family self-destruct? I gripped the phone tighter. So everyone just lets him get away with it? Everyone smart does. Take the insurance settlement they'll offer. Sign the NDA. Move on with your life. Your sister needs stability, not a crusade. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, $47,000 in medical debt, no lawyer willing to help, a boss threatening to fire me, and Lily asking every night why her ears still didn't work. Maybe they were right. Maybe I should drop it. Take care of Lily. Keep my head down. Then I remembered Martinez's smirk behind Officer Blake, Colton's casual dismissal, the janitor whispering about 3 accidents this year. They were counting on me to give up. I decided to speak at the next school board meeting anyway. The auditorium was packed. December 5th, 7 p.m. I typed up 3 pages of notes about Martinez's admission, the dry roads, the $47,000 in medical bills. My hands were shaking as I signed up for public comment. When they called my name, I had 3 minutes. My 7-year-old sister Lily lost her hearing in one ear when your bus driver crashed on November 14th. I heard that driver, Martinez, admit to drinking 2 beers before his shift. The official report claims wet roads caused the accident. It hadn't rained in 8 days. Colton stood up from the board table. Mr. Chen, we understand you're grieving, but we investigated thoroughly. Weather conditions were a factor. Roads can be slick from morning dew. Morning dew doesn't cause a bus to flip into a ditch. A woman in the 3rd row stood up. My son was on that bus. He said the road was completely dry. He said the driver was swerving before the crash. The board president grabbed her microphone. Ma'am, you're out of order. Please sit down. Another parent stood. My daughter said Martinez smelled like alcohol when he helped her out of the bus. The president hit her gavel. This is not a forum for speculation. Mr. Chen, your time is up. I kept talking. Why won't you release his driving records? What are you hiding? She cut my microphone. Security appeared at my elbow. Sir, you need to return to your seat. I looked at Colton. He was writing something on his legal pad, completely unbothered, like this was a minor scheduling conflict instead of children's lives. The district has insurance for a reason, Mr. Chen, he said without looking up. Let the process work. The process is protecting a drunk driver. Now he looked at me. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? A breathalyzer? Blood test? Video footage? Or just the desperate theories of a young man who can't accept that accidents happen? The security guard's hand tightened on my arm. Other parents were looking at me with sympathy but also fear. Nobody else spoke up. The woman who'd mentioned her son sat back down. The meeting continued like I'd never spoken. In the parking lot afterward, I was unlocking my car when footsteps approached. Frank Torres. I recognized him from his Union Polo shirt. 60s, built like an ex-boxer. Kevin Chen? He didn't wait for an answer. You need to stop this crusade before you hurt yourself. Is that a threat? It's advice. He pulled out a cigarette. You think you're helping your sister? You're making enemies of people who control every job in this district, every contract, every service. Your landlord does business with the district, your insurance company too, even the hospital where your sister gets treatment. They can't punish me for speaking at a public meeting. He laughed. They don't punish. They just make life difficult. Your insurance claims get delayed. Your apartment suddenly fails inspection. Your employer gets an anonymous tip about missing files. Death by 1,000 cuts. So Martinez gets to destroy my sister's life and I'm supposed to stay quiet? He flicked his cigarette into the dark. Martinez is a union member. I protect union members. That's my job. You? You're nobody's member. Nobody's responsibility. Just an angry kid who doesn't understand how the world works. He pulled out a small notebook and wrote my name in it. License plate too. For the record, he said, in case you become a problem. He walked away, leaving me standing alone in the empty parking lot. Inside the building, I could see the board still meeting. Colton was laughing about something with another board member. They weren't even worried about me. I was that insignificant to them. The certified letter arrived 3 days after the board meeting. Cease and desist. The law firm's name took up half the letterhead. 3 partners, all with surnames that sounded expensive. We represent the Riverside School District. Your continued harassment and defamatory statements regarding district employee Victor Martinez constitute slander. Cease immediately or face legal action seeking damages in excess of $100,000. $100,000. For telling the truth. The second letter came an hour later. Hand-delivered by hospital security, Mr. Chen, due to your disruptive behavior and repeated harassment of district employees, your visitation privileges are suspended for 48 hours. Any attempt to enter the pediatric ward will result in trespassing charges. Disruptive behavior. I'd asked one nurse if she'd witnessed Martinez at the scene. That was it. I sat in my car in the hospital parking lot, staring at both letters. Lily was 3 floors up, alone, scared. And I couldn't even go hold her hand. My phone rang, Lily's number. Kevin? Her voice was so small. Why aren't you here? The counselor said you're making trouble. She said you can't come see me. I'm trying to help Lily, to make sure what happened to you doesn't happen to other kids. She was crying now. I don't care about other kids. I want you here. My head hurts and my ear still doesn't work and you promised you'd never leave me alone. I know, baby. I know. It's just 2 days. You promised. After Mom and Dad, you promised. That broke me. I sat there in my car listening to my 7-year-old sister sob because the only family she had left couldn't be there when she needed him most. The counselor took the phone. Mr. Chen, you're upsetting her. These restrictions are for everyone's benefit. Focus on getting your affairs in order instead of pursuing vendettas. She hung up. My affairs. Like I had affairs to get in order. I had $1,200 in savings. A job hanging by a thread. And now this. The first medical bill arrived that afternoon. $12,000. Just the beginning. The emergency surgery, initial trauma care, first week of hospital stay. Insurance coverage denied pending district investigation outcome. I called the insurance company. 43 minutes on hold. Mr. Chen, we can't process claims related to incidents under active investigation. The district needs to complete their review first. The district already completed their review. They said it was weather-related. That's not what our records show. There's a flag on your file indicating potential fraud. Fraud? What fraud? I'm not authorized to discuss details. You'll need to resolve this with the district. The district is the one blocking the claim. Then I suggest you stop antagonizing them. She hung up. Just like that. $12,000 I didn't have for services already rendered to save my sister's life, and they hung up. I drove back to my apartment, another envelope taped to my door, from my landlord. Due to recent concerns about your activities potentially affecting building safety and reputation, we're conducting an inspection next week. Please ensure full compliance with all lease terms. Building safety. Because I spoke at a school board meeting, Frank Torres had warned me, death by 1,000 cuts. They were just getting started. I sat on my couch with all the letters spread out on my coffee table. Cease and desist, hospital ban, medical bills, lease threat. All because I'd asked why a drunk driver was still employed by the district. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Drop it now, or the $12,000 becomes $47,000 with no insurance at all. Your choice. $47,000, the exact estimate the doctor had given me. How did they know that number? I looked at the picture of Lily on my phone, taken 2 months ago at her school's Halloween party. Big smile, dressed as an astronaut because she wanted to be the first deaf astronaut now. She didn't even know the word deaf 2 months ago. They were betting I'd choose her over justice, that I'd cave to protect what little stability we had left. They were probably right. What choice did I have? Monday morning started with the end of everything. My boss called me into his office before I even reached my desk. Kevin, you've missed 3 client meetings this week. We got a complaint from Henderson Corp that their filing deadline was nearly missed because you weren't here. My sister was in the hospital. That was 3 weeks ago. He pushed a box across his desk. Clear out your desk. Security will escort you out. I looked at him. 5 years I'd worked there. 5 years of overtime, weekends, perfect work until Lily's accident. We can't have unreliable employees, especially ones creating legal problems with the school district. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Your final check will be mailed. I stood there holding the empty box while everyone pretended to work. Sarah wouldn't look up from her computer. Tom suddenly needed coffee. Even the receptionist found papers to shuffle. Security walked me to my desk. 5 minutes to pack 5 years. I grabbed the photo of Lily and me at her 7th birthday party. 2 months ago. Before everything went to hell. The hospital called while I was loading my car. Mr. Chen? Your sister needs to be discharged today. Insurance hasn't approved extended care. She needs specialized therapy for the hearing loss. The doctor said, without insurance approval, she needs to leave by noon or you'll be charged $1,500 per day. I drove straight there. Lily was sitting on the bed, her things already packed by the nurses. They made me leave. They said I can't stay anymore. The doctor pulled me aside. She needs vestibular therapy for her balance issues, auditory rehabilitation for the hearing loss. Without it, she'll never properly adapt. Her development will be permanently impaired. How much? $800 per week, minimum 6 months. I had $1,200 total. That night, I carried Lily up to our apartment. She kept stumbling, grabbing walls, her balance destroyed. The whole left side of her world had gone silent. I was heating up soup when I went to throw out the mail. There, tucked under my windshield wiper, was a folded piece of paper. Martinez has 2 prior DUIs. Check court records 2019 and 2021. They knew. A friend. My hands shook. If they knew about prior drunk driving convictions and hired him anyway, this wasn't negligence. This was criminal endangerment. I was still staring at the note when someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole. An old man, maybe late 60s, wearing a faded mechanic's uniform. Kevin Chen? I'm Earl Watson. I wrote that note. I opened the door halfway. Why? Because they destroyed my life for trying to protect kids. He held up a manila folder. 40 years I maintained those buses. Spotted brake failures, bad tires, broken mirrors, filed every report like I was supposed to. You know what they did? Forced me into early retirement. Said I was costing the district too much in repairs. I let him in. He spread papers across my coffee table. Look at this. September inspection reports. Bus 47, brake lines worn through. Bus 23, bald tires. Bus 15, the one your sister was on. Steering column issues I flagged 6 times. All still running. All carrying kids. They ignored safety reports? Ignored? He laughed bitterly. They deleted them from the system. But I kept copies. 40 years of copies. Because I knew someday something terrible would happen. He pulled out another paper. This is the hiring memo from last year. They brought in 4 drivers with criminal records. Martinez with his DUIs, Carlos Ruiz with assault charges, Janet Pike with reckless driving, Tom Banks with a suspended license. You know why? I shook my head. Each one accepted 30% less than standard pay. Desperate people take desperate wages. Total savings? $340,000 a year. He pointed to a highlighted line. That exact amount appears as administrator bonuses in the spring budget. They endangered kids for bonuses. They've been doing it for 3 years. Your sister just happened to be the first one seriously hurt, that we know of. I looked at Lily asleep on the couch, her hearing aid blinking red because I couldn't afford batteries. Will you help me expose this? Earl's jaw tightened. They already took my pension, my reputation, my career. What else can they do to me? Yeah, kid. I'll help. Earl showed up at my apartment the next morning with a box of courthouse records. We spent the day at the public library because I couldn't risk anyone seeing us together at my place. Earl pulled up the court database while I kept watch for anyone from the district. Here, March 2019, Victor Martinez, driving under the influence, blood alcohol .14, license suspended 6 months. I wrote it down. The district hired him knowing this? Gets better. August 2021, second DUI, .16, should have lost his license for 2 years. But look at this. Earl pointed to the screen. Charge reduced to reckless driving, $100 fine. I checked the date, 3 months before the district hired him. Now look up Carlos Ruiz, bus driver for Route 12. The record came up immediately. Assault and battery, November 2020. Broke a man's jaw in a bar fight. 60 days jail, suspended. Anger management required. Earl pulled out his phone. I took this yesterday. Bus 12 picking up kindergartners. Ruiz behind the wheel. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Kevin Chen, this is Melissa Chang from Channel 7. I've been investigating corruption in the school district for 8 months. Someone said you might have information worth trading. I stepped away from Earl. How did you get this number? A parent from the board meeting. Said you're fighting the district alone. That true? Depends what you mean by fighting. She paused. I have 3 years of financial documents showing administrator bonuses increasing while safety budgets got cut. You have something concrete about the drivers? I looked at Earl writing down Janet Pike's 4 reckless driving tickets. Maybe. Meet me tomorrow, Riverside Park, noon. Come alone. I hung up and went back to Earl. We found Pike's record, 4 tickets in 2 years, including one for going 60 in a school zone. Kevin? A small voice behind me. I turned around. Lily stood there with my neighbor, Mrs. Garcia. You said you were at work, Lily said. Mrs. Garcia said she saw you here. I'm working on something important, sweetheart. Her face crumpled. Is it about the bus? Please stop. Kids at online school are saying their parents told them we're troublemakers. They won't even video chat with me anymore. Mrs. Garcia touched my shoulder. She's been crying all morning. Maybe you should listen to her. I knelt down to Lily's level. Her hearing aid was making that feedback sound again because I bought the cheapest batteries. I'm trying to make sure what happened to you doesn't happen to other kids. I don't care about other kids. She was crying now. I care about us. You lost your job. We have no money. Everyone hates us. Please just stop. Earl stood up. I'll keep working on this, Kevin. Take her home. I carried Lily back to the apartment. She was so light, 7 years old, and she felt like she weighed nothing. The doctor said stress was affecting her appetite. That night, I sat beside her bed watching her sleep. The left side of her face still had fading bruises. Her hearing aid blinked red on the nightstand. Dead batteries again. I had $12 in my wallet and $800 left in the bank. Rent was due in 5 days. My phone lit up with an email. From the district's insurance company. Claim update. Under review, indefinitely pending investigation outcome. Indefinitely. They could drag this out forever. Another email. From a law firm I'd never heard of. Potential representation. We've reviewed your case. Due to conflicts of interest with existing clients, we cannot assist you. This was the 12th rejection. I opened my laptop and looked at what Earl and I had found. 3 drivers with criminal records, safety violations ignored, $340,000 in savings that became bonuses. It was all there in black and white, but proving they knew about Martinez's DUIs when they hired him? That would require internal documents, emails, memos, things I'd never get legally. I thought about Lily crying, begging me to stop. She was right, we were alone, broke, fighting an enemy that controlled everything in this town. But then I thought about Martinez smirking behind the cop, Colton's casual dismissal, the $340,000 they saved by risking children's lives. Tomorrow, I'd meet Melissa Chang. Maybe she had something I could use. Maybe not. Either way, I wasn't stopping. The next morning, I went back to the courthouse to photograph more records. I was bent over box 14B, Martinez's full criminal history spread across the table, when the security guard appeared. Sir, what are you doing with those documents? They're public records. I'm allowed to view them. View, yes. Photograph? He looked at my phone. That requires permission from the clerk's office. My hands started sweating. Since when? New policy. This week, actually. He watched me pack up the papers. Someone must have complained about privacy violations. I left immediately. In the parking lot, I saw her. Susan, Colton's assistant, sitting in a black sedan 2 rows over. She was on her phone but kept glancing my way. When I started walking toward my car, she drove off. Earl was waiting at my apartment. Did anyone follow you here? Maybe. Colton's assistant was at the courthouse. We need to be more careful. They're watching now. That afternoon, I took Lily to her online tutoring at the library. She needed the better internet connection. I was helping her log in when 3 kids from her old class walked by. Look, it's the liar's sister, one boy said loud enough for everyone to hear. Lily hunched down in her chair. Please, can we go home? Another girl joined in. My mom said her brother makes things up for attention. That's why she can't hear. God's punishment. That's enough, I said, standing up. The boy's mother appeared from behind the stacks. Don't you dare speak to my child. You're the one spreading lies about our bus drivers. Getting good men fired. Nobody's been fired yet. She pulled her son closer. Because Mr. Colton protects this district from people like you. Troublemakers. Grifters looking for a payday. My 7-year-old sister has permanent hearing loss, and you're trying to profit from it. Her voice got louder. Everyone knows you're just angry because you can't afford the medical bills. The librarian appeared. I'm going to have to ask everyone to leave. We walked out to find my car with the driver's side window smashed, glass everywhere, a note under the wiper. Final warning. Lily started crying. They broke our car. I called the police. They sent Officer Blake, the same one from the hospital. Looks like vandalism, Mr. Chen. Been a lot of that lately. He didn't even examine the scene. File a report with your insurance. There's a note. It's clearly a threat. He glanced at it. Could mean anything. Maybe someone's warning you about your broken window. He smiled at his own joke. That night, I enrolled Lily in the district's online academy. $800 a month I didn't have, but she couldn't go back to regular school, not with kids parroting their parents' poison. Why can't I go to normal school? She asked while I set up her laptop. It's temporary, until things calm down. She looked at me with those big eyes. Things won't calm down, will they? Not until you stop fighting them. I didn't know how to answer that. Because she was right. Every day I fought, they hit back harder, and Lily paid the price. My phone buzzed. Text from Earl. Found something. Janet Pike's hiring memo mentions her tickets, but says approved per RC directive. RC is Richard Colton. So Colton personally approved hiring someone with 4 reckless driving tickets. Another text. There's more. Meet tomorrow. Not your place. They're watching. I looked at Lily doing her homework on a laptop screen instead of in a classroom, at the cardboard taped over my broken car window, at the stack of medical bills growing on my counter. Final warning. What came after final? I was startled awake by my phone ringing at 2 in the morning. Susan's voice was barely a whisper. I can't do this anymore. I can't watch him destroy another family. Who is this? Colton's assistant. Listen carefully. December 3rd. Insurance mediation at the district office, 9 a.m. Bring a recorder. Why are you telling me this? Because my nephew was on that bus with your sister. Mild concussion. We were told not to pursue it. She paused. Colton doesn't know the insurance company requires all documents for mediation. He'll bring everything to avoid losing coverage. Everything? The hiring memos, the background check waivers, the emails about cost savings, everything. If you can get into that room, you'll have your proof. She hung up. Earl called the next morning, found something massive. Union contract says disciplinary records get destroyed after 90 days. What? Martinez's DUI from 11 months ago? It's gone from union files. Officially doesn't exist anymore. That's how they're getting away with it. Melissa texted me an hour later. My source and budget confirmed it. $340,000 in transportation savings. Same amount shows up as administrator bonuses. They're literally taking money meant for safe drivers and pocketing it. I sat at my kitchen table staring at my laptop screen. $31,000 in medical debt. $3,000 on credit cards. $127 in my checking account. Lily needed her medication refilled. $80. Her hearing aid batteries. $40. Groceries for the week. At least $60. I had $127. The eviction notice would come next week if I didn't pay rent. $800 I didn't have. The car insurance was already canceled. If they found out I was driving uninsured, that would be another crime they could use against me. My phone rang. Collections agency. Again. Mr. Chen, this is regarding your outstanding medical debt. Can you make a payment today? I don't have any money. Sir, these bills are severely past due. We need at least a partial payment or this goes to legal. I hung up. Lily came into the kitchen dragging her stuffed elephant. My tummy hurts. When did you eat last? She thought about it. Yesterday morning? I opened the fridge, half a loaf of bread, some peanut butter, a bruised apple. I made her a sandwich with the last of everything. While she ate, I thought about Susan's call. December 3rd, 5 days away. If they catch you recording, Earl had warned me earlier, that's illegal wiretapping, prison time. But if I got those documents, really got them, proof they knowingly hired drunk drivers to save money for bonuses, that was criminal conspiracy. Federal crime, maybe. Lily finished her sandwich. Can I have more? Tomorrow, baby. I promise. She nodded and went back to the couch. She never complained anymore. 7 years old and she'd learned not to ask for things we couldn't afford. I looked at the calendar. December 3rd. The insurance mediation could change everything, or destroy what little we had left. Susan's words echoed. If you can get into that room, you'll have your proof. But if they catch you recording, prison. Lily in foster care. Game over. But $31,000 in debt with no job and no hope? We were already drowning. 5 days to figure out how to get into that mediation. 5 days to find a way to record without getting caught. 5 days until everything either ended or finally began. The eviction notice came 2 days after I'd figured out how to get into the mediation. 30 days to vacate. December payment missed. No further extensions. The landlord's lawyer signed it with a flourish like he was proud of destroying lives. I set it on the stack with the others. Final notice from electric company. Collections from 3 different medical creditors. Insurance cancellation. Each envelope another nail in our coffin. Then Lily woke up screaming. Her ear was leaking pus. The infection the doctor warned about if we couldn't afford the antibiotics. I touched her forehead. Burning hot. We need to go to the hospital, baby. She was delirious with fever. My ear is on fire. Make it stop. The emergency room doctor didn't sugarcoat it. The infection has spread to the mastoid bone. She needs immediate surgery or she could lose hearing in both ears. Possibly worse. How much? $15,000, minimum. Without insurance, you'll need to put down at least $5,000 tonight or we transfer her to county. County hospital was 60 miles away. Understaffed. Overwhelmed. Kids died there waiting for treatment. I'll get the money. Sir, our records show you already owe $31,000. The hospital won't extend more credit. I'll get it. I ran to the parking lot and called every pawn shop in the city. My car, 13 years old with a smashed window, got me $1,800. My laptop from law school, another $600. Mom's wedding ring I'd saved for Lily, $400. Dad's watch, $300. Everything else I owned, another $1,100. $4,200 total. I went back inside. This is all I have. The administrator looked at her screen. I can do surgery with a $4,000 deposit, but she'll be discharged immediately after. No follow-up care without payment. Do it. While Lily was in surgery, I applied for 23 jobs online. Retail, fast food, warehouse, anything. By morning, I had 17 rejections. All variations of the same message. Position filled. Not hiring. Don't meet requirements. Then, one honest response from a manager I'd known years ago. Kevin, I'd hire you in a second, but your name is flagged in the district system. Anyone who employs you loses all school contracts. I'm sorry. They'd made me unemployable. Lily came out of surgery groggy but stable. The infection was cleared, but the damage was done. Her inner ear was scarred beyond repair. Will she get better? The surgeon shook his head. The hearing loss is now total in that ear. Permanent. If she'd had proper antibiotics 2 weeks ago, maybe. Now, no. I sat beside her bed on the same plastic chair I'd been sleeping on for 3 nights. She looked so small, 7 years old with gauze wrapped around her head like a war victim. Kevin? Her voice was tiny. Am I going to be okay? Yeah, baby, you're going to be fine. She studied my face. You're lying. You do that thing with your jaw when you lie. Smart kid. Too smart. My phone buzzed. Earl. The mediation is in 3 days. You still going? 3 days. December 3rd, the insurance mediation, where Colton would bring every document that could destroy him. I looked at Lily, completely deaf in one ear because I couldn't afford $80 for antibiotics, living in a car in 30 days because I couldn't pay rent, eating 1 meal a day because I couldn't buy food. I texted back, yes, because what did I have left to lose? The isolation started with my best friend, David. I texted him about the mediation coming up. Maybe he knew someone who could help. He responded immediately. Can't talk. District contracts are 40% of my company's revenue. I have 3 kids, Kevin. I can't risk my job supporting you. Please don't contact me again. 5 years of friendship. Gone. My cousin Janet was next. She managed a restaurant downtown. Kevin, someone from the district called. Said if I hired you, they'd cancel all catering contracts. That's $12,000 a month for us. I'm sorry. Even the food bank turned me away. The volunteer recognized me from the news. You're that guy causing trouble for the schools. We get our funding from district grants. You can't be here. Earl called that afternoon. His voice was shaking. They came to my house, 2 men in suits, said if I keep helping you, my pension disappears. 40 years of contributions. Gone. They had paperwork showing how they could legally terminate it. You have to stop helping me, Earl. He was quiet for a long moment. Number. They already took my career. They don't get to take my conscience too. But we need to be more careful. Melissa texted an hour later. Editor killed the story. District threatened to pull $200,000 in annual school advertising. Also said they'd sue for defamation. Paper can't afford either. I'm off the case. I'm sorry. I was completely alone. That evening I found Lily in the bathroom with my razor, chunks of her beautiful black hair scattered on the floor, one side of her head nearly bald. Baby, what are you doing? She looked at me in the mirror, tears streaming down her face. Maybe if I'm ugly, the kids online will stop saying mean things. They keep calling me the liar's sister. They say God punished me for having a bad brother. I took the razor away and held her while she sobbed. 7 years old and cutting her own hair to stop the bullying. The next morning, the school counselor called for Lily's required check-in. Mrs. Park seemed different. Cold. Lily is showing signs of severe trauma response, Kevin. Not from the accident, from the stress you're creating. The stress I'm creating? Your district hired a drunk driver who destroyed her hearing. She sighed like I was a difficult child. Lily told me she hasn't eaten a real meal in 3 days. She said you sold everything you own. She's terrified of being homeless. That's abuse, Kevin. We're struggling because you won't approve our insurance claim. You're struggling because you're choosing revenge over your sister's well-being. She paused. I'm mandated to report suspected abuse. If this continues, I'll have to call Child Protective Services. You're threatening to take her away? I'm trying to help her, something you seem incapable of doing. Get your priorities straight, Kevin, before someone else has to. She hung up. I sat on the floor of our empty apartment. They'd isolated me from everyone, friends, family, support systems, even threatened to take Lily. The walls felt like they were closing in. No job, no money, no help, no hope. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Kevin Chen? Dr. Margaret Liu. I treated Lily last week. I'm calling off the record. About what? I ran tests on her blood work, found something concerning, high levels of industrial solvent in her system, the kind used to clean bus engines. She shouldn't have been exposed to that unless what? Unless there was a chemical spill during the crash, something the district didn't report. She paused. I've seen 3 other kids from bus accidents with the same contamination, all from district buses, all from crashes blamed on weather. Jesus Christ. I have to file this with the health department, but I wanted you to know first. Document everything about Lily's health. This poisoning might explain some of her neurological symptoms. The mediation was tomorrow. 1 chance to get evidence, 1 chance to prove everything. They'd taken everything from us. But tomorrow, I'd take everything from them. The Facebook message arrived at midnight from someone I didn't know. Sarah Mills. Her profile picture showed a boy in a wheelchair. My son Jacob was in a weather accident last year on bus 12. Permanent spinal damage. I heard you're investigating the district. I called her immediately. They told us the same thing, she said. Wet roads. Driver lost control. But Jacob said the driver was weaving before the crash. Smelled like whiskey. Carlos Ruiz, the one with assault charges. You know about him? Her voice cracked. They know and they still let him drive our kids? There's more. Martinez, Pike, Banks, all have records. All hired to save money. Sarah was quiet, then furious. How many families? I don't know. We need to find out. By morning, Sarah had created a private Facebook group. District 47 bus accident families. She invited everyone she knew who'd been affected. Within 6 hours, we had 47 families. 47 families in 3 years. All told the same story. Weather accident. Driver, not at fault. Insurance denied or delayed. The patterns were sickening. Every crash involved one of the 4 cheap drivers. Every family was threatened when they questioned the story. Every insurance claim was stonewalled. A mother posted about her daughter's traumatic brain injury from Pike's bus. A father shared medical bills totaling $89,000 from Martinez's first crash. Twin boys paralyzed when Banks ran a red light, officially blamed on sun glare. Then someone leaked an email. It was from Colton to the school board, dated 2 weeks ago. Chen's situation and others. These families will give up eventually. They always do. The emotional and financial pressure becomes unsustainable. Our legal team ensures that. Stay the course. They always do. Like we were a business model. Hurt kids, deny claims, wait for families to break. My phone buzzed. Text from Frank Torres. Your sister's medical records are interesting. Permanent hearing loss, chemical exposure, mental trauma. Would be a shame if those became public, especially the psych notes about her brother's instability affecting her recovery. I called him immediately. You're threatening to release a 7-year-old's medical records? I'm suggesting you think about her future. Kids are cruel. Imagine if her classmates knew everything. Every medication, every therapy session, every time she cried about being different. You're disgusting. I'm practical. You have 24 hours to drop this crusade. Delete the Facebook group, stop investigating, or tomorrow everyone knows exactly how damaged your sister really is. He hung up. I sat there shaking. They'd weaponize Lily's trauma, use her pain against us. Sarah called 5 minutes later. Kevin, we found something. 3 board members own shares in the transportation company that gets the savings. They're personally profiting from hiring dangerous drivers. The mediation was tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., my last chance. Sarah, I need you to know something. If I go to this mediation tomorrow and get caught, I might go to jail. Lily goes to foster care. Everything ends. Then don't get caught. She paused. 47 families are counting on you. My son will never walk again because they wanted to save money. Your sister will never hear properly again for the same reason. Don't you dare back down now. I looked at Lily asleep on the couch, her chopped hair, her infected ear, her tiny body that had been through so much. Torres was right about one thing. This ended tomorrow. Either they destroyed us completely, or we finally got justice. 24 hours until the mediation. 24 hours to figure out how to record without getting caught. 24 hours to save 47 families from this nightmare. The odds were impossible, but impossible was all we had left. The next morning, I couldn't do it anymore. I sat at the kitchen table with an eviction notice in one hand and Torres's threat in the other. The mediation was tomorrow. Everything was falling apart. Lily walked into the kitchen dragging her blanket, her chopped hair stuck up in different directions. The infection drainage had soaked through her bandage again. Kevin? She climbed into my lap. Maybe we should just stop. I don't want you hurt too. Those words from a 7-year-old broke something inside me. She was trying to protect me. After everything she'd been through, she was worried about me. I held her tight and sobbed. Really sobbed. For the first time since this started. She patted my back with her tiny hand like she was the adult. I started packing that afternoon, what little we had left, some clothes, her medications, the photo of Mom and Dad. Maybe we could start over somewhere else, another state, another life. A knock at the door interrupted me. Earl stood there looking older than his 67 years. You packing up? Yeah, it's over. They win. He walked past me into the apartment, looked at the boxes, the eviction notice, Lily watching us from the couch. I was a coward for 40 years, Kevin. Watched them hurt kids, filed my reports, kept my head down, collected my paycheck. He sat down heavy on a box. You know what I got for being a good soldier? Nothing. They threw me away anyway. This is different, Earl. They'll destroy us completely. They already have, haven't they? He gestured around the empty apartment. What's left to lose? Lily. He looked at her. Then at me. That little girl deserves justice. Those other 46 kids deserve justice. You backing down now means they all suffered for nothing. My phone buzzed. Sarah Mills, the Facebook group had pooled money, $2,300. Every family gave what they could. Some gave $5, some gave $100 for rent. So you can focus on tomorrow. I started crying again. These families who'd lost everything were giving me their last dollars. Another text, this time from Susan. Mediation tomorrow, 9 a.m. Colton's bringing original files from his personal safe. 3 boxes, everything from the last 3 years. This is your only chance. Earl stood up. You got a recorder? It's illegal. If they catch me, if they catch you, you're done anyway. Might as well go down swinging. That night, Lily and I ate dinner bought with the money from 47 families. Real food for the first time in weeks. She even smiled a little. At bedtime, she hugged me tighter than usual. You're brave, Kevin. Mom and Dad would be so proud. How do you know? Because you're fighting for what's right, even when it's hard. Even when everyone tells you to stop. That's what heroes do. Heroes. I wasn't a hero. I was a 28-year-old paralegal who'd lost everything trying to get justice for my sister. But tomorrow, I had one last chance. I looked at the tiny digital recorder Earl had brought, smaller than a pen, easy to hide, completely illegal to use without consent. Tomorrow, either I destroy them or they destroy what's left of us. There was no third option. The morning of December 3rd, I stood outside the district office at 8:45. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The tiny recorder was taped inside my jacket pocket, pressing against my ribs. Susan's text had been specific. Conference room B, second floor, 9 a.m. sharp. I walked in at 8:58. A middle-aged woman with reading glasses on a chain looked up from her papers. Can I help you? Kevin Chen. I'm here as a potential settlement recipient in the Lily Chen case. She frowned at her list. I don't have you scheduled for this mediation. I'm her legal guardian, her only family. I have a right to observe any mediation involving my sister's case. Before she could respond, the door opened. Colton walked in dragging a cart with 3 banker boxes stacked on it. His assistant followed, carrying more folders. He saw me and stopped cold. What the hell are you doing here? Attending a mediation about my 7-year-old sister's permanent hearing loss. The mediator shuffled through her papers. Mr. Chen is technically correct. Immediate family members who are potential beneficiaries can attend. This is highly irregular. Colton's face was turning red, but not illegal. She looked at me. You can stay, but you're an observer only. Sit there. She pointed to a chair in the corner. I sat down, pressed record through my pocket. The insurance company representatives arrived 2 minutes later, 2 men in gray suits who looked bored before they even sat down. Colton's assistant started unpacking boxes. Hundreds of documents spread across the conference table. Personnel files, incident reports, insurance claims, budget documents. Let's begin. The mediator adjusted her glasses. Mr. Colton, for this mediation to proceed under state insurance regulations, I need all relevant documents, everything related to the November 14th incident and any driver employment records. It's all here. Colton gestured at the boxes. Complete documentation as requested by the insurance company. His assistant reached into the second box, started pulling out folders, green ones, blue ones, yellow ones. Her hand stopped on something at the bottom, a red folder. She looked at it, then at Colton. He was scrolling through his phone, not paying attention. I could see her hesitation. She lifted the red folder halfway out. I caught a glimpse of the label, black marker on red paper, confidential, do not submit. She glanced at Colton again, still on his phone. She pulled the red folder out completely, set it on the table with the others. The mediator was organizing the documents into piles, green folders in one stack, blue in another. She reached for the red folder. What's this? She opened it, started reading the first page. Her expression changed immediately. Her eyebrows went up, her mouth opened slightly. Mr. Colton. Her voice was different now, harder. What exactly am I looking at? He looked up from his phone, saw the open red folder in her hands. His face went white. That shouldn't be here. That's privileged information. But she was already reading, and the insurance representatives had stopped looking bored. One pulled out his laptop. The other reached for his phone. Whatever was in that folder, it was about to change everything. The mediator started reading the email chain out loud. Mr. Colton, this is from you to your CFO, dated October 28th. Martinez's DUI was 11 months ago, just under our 1-year disclosure requirement. Keep this quiet. She looked up at him over her glasses. You knew about his drunk driving conviction 2 weeks before he crashed with children on board. Colton stood up. That's taken out of context. She kept reading. From the CFO's response, confirmed. 3 other drivers also have criminal records. Ruiz, assault. Pike, reckless driving. Banks, suspended license. Total savings, $340,000 annually. The insurance rep's fingers flew across his laptop keyboard. The other one had his phone out, recording everything. The mediator flipped to the next page. Your reply, Mr. Colton. Perfect. Use the savings for executive bonuses as discussed. The board won't question it if we hit our numbers. That was a preliminary discussion, not actual policy. Then why does this budget sheet show exactly $340,000 moved from transportation to administrative compensation? She held up the paper. With your signature authorizing it? Colton reached for the folder. Those are privileged documents. They shouldn't be here. The mediator pulled it back. There's more. This one's from November 1st. If anyone asks about the drivers, blame weather. Climate change makes everything believable. Nobody questions weather anymore. I grabbed my phone and started taking pictures. My hands were shaking, but I got every page she held up. Mr. Colton, this documentation shows deliberate endangerment of children for financial gain. The mediator's voice had gone ice cold. You knew these drivers were dangerous. You hired them anyway. You created a cover story in advance. His assistant backed toward the door. I didn't know any of this. He told me to file what he gave me. I just followed orders. The insurance representative stood up. Mr. Colton, this is conspiracy, fraud, criminal endangerment. We're terminating the district's liability coverage immediately. You can't do that. We have a contract. Section 12, subsection 4, immediate termination for fraudulent claims or criminal activity. He was already packing up his laptop. You'll receive formal notice within the hour. The mediator wasn't done. This email from November 16th, 2 days after the crash. Martinez finally went too far. The Chen girl's injuries are significant. Stick to the weather story. Her brother is young and broke. He'll fold. My chest felt like it was going to explode. They'd planned how to destroy us before Lily was even out of surgery. I'm a mandated reporter, the mediator continued. This goes to the district attorney today. Criminal charges will likely follow. This is a misunderstanding. Colton's face was purple now. These were theoretical discussions, budget planning. Nobody actually then explained this memo to HR. She held up another paper. Dated September 1st. Approve Martinez despite DUI. Approve Ruiz despite assault charge. Approve Pike despite reckless driving tickets. Cost savings essential for spring bonuses. Essential. Your word. Colton lunged across the table and grabbed the folder, ripped it from her hands, started tearing pages. The mediator stood up. Mr. Colton, you're destroying evidence in front of witnesses. These documents were never supposed to be here. His assistant made a mistake. His assistant was crying by the door. You told me to bring everything. You said the insurance company needed complete files. Shut up, Susan. I have children, Susan sobbed. I didn't know what you were doing. I would never have helped if I knew. The mediator looked at me. Mr. Chen, did you document what you witnessed here? I held up my phone, every page before he grabbed them. Good. That's evidence now. Don't delete anything. Colton turned on me. You orchestrated this. The mediator's words hung in the air like a verdict. Colton's face went from purple to white. He grabbed his phone and dialed security. I need officers in conference room B immediately. The mediator stood up. Mr. Colton, sit down. I'm a mandated reporter. This involves child endangerment. Security isn't changing that. The door burst open. Frank Torres charged in, Union polo stretched tight across his chest. What the hell is happening here? Colton pointed at me. He's illegally recording this meeting. He orchestrated this whole thing. Torres turned on me. You can't use documents obtained through deception. Any recording without consent is illegal wiretapping in this state. The mediator cut him off. These documents were provided by Mr. Colton's own assistant as part of required mediation disclosure. There's no deception here. Susan was still crying by the door. He told me to bring everything. I didn't know what was in that folder. Shut your mouth, Susan. You're fired. The insurance representative closed his laptop with a snap. Mr. Colton, we're canceling the district's coverage, effective immediately for fraud. You can't do that. Colton's voice cracked. We have 800 employees, 14,000 students. The district will go bankrupt without liability coverage. You should have thought about that before endangering children for profit. The rep stood up. You'll receive formal termination within the hour. Any pending claims are void. That means no coverage for any of the 47 injured children. Colton turned to stare at me. You realize what you've done? Those families won't get anything now. The district can't pay without insurance. I stood up for the first time. You destroyed my sister's hearing to save money for your bonus. You hired drunk drivers. You covered up crashes. You threatened families into silence. Everything I did was legal. Budget decisions. Personnel choices. All within my authority as superintendent. Torres stepped between us. Kevin Chen, you're going to prison for this. Illegal recording. Corporate espionage. I'll make sure of it. The mediator picked up her phone. I'm calling the district attorney's office now. Everyone stays until law enforcement arrives. This is insane. Colton was pacing now. 3 years of perfect budget management, test scores up, graduation rates improved, and you're destroying it all over a few personnel decisions? A few personnel decisions? My voice broke. My 7-year-old sister is permanently deaf. Sarah Mills' son is paralyzed. 47 children injured for your $340,000 bonus. The room went quiet except for Susan sobbing. You have no idea how this district works. Colton's voice was low now. Dangerous. The board wanted savings. The taxpayers demanded lower costs. I delivered. Everyone was happy until you started your crusade. Everyone except the kids bleeding in hospital beds. Accidents happen. That's why we have insurance. The insurance you just lost by committing fraud. He lunged at me. Torres grabbed him, held him back. Not here, Richard. Not with witnesses. The mediator was on her phone with someone. Yes, we need officers here immediately. Riverside School District Office. Conference Room B. Evidence of criminal conspiracy involving child endangerment. Colton pulled free from Torres. You destroyed this district. Thousands of kids will suffer because you couldn't accept that accidents happen. I held up my phone with the photos of his emails. These weren't accidents. You knew. You planned. You profited. And now everyone will know it too. Security arrived just as Colton grabbed a chair like he might throw it. The mediator pointed at him. That man needs to be detained until police arrive. This is now a crime scene. Security had Colton's arms behind his back when I sent the photos to Melissa. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. I attached every image from the mediation, the emails, the budget documents, the conspiracy to hire drunk drivers for bonuses. Melissa called within 30 seconds. Kevin, is this real? Every word. I'm at the district office. Colton just got detained. The insurance company canceled their coverage. I'm posting this right now. She hung up. I walked out of the conference room past Susan still crying in the hallway, past Torres screaming into his phone about union lawyers, past security guards who looked like they didn't know what to do. In the parking lot, I called Sarah Mills. It's done. They admitted everything. She was crying. All 47 families. All our kids. They knew? They knew. And they did it for money. Within 10 minutes, Melissa's article was live. School district knowingly hired drunk driver who injured 7-year-old. She'd posted the emails, the budget showing bonuses, everything. My phone started exploding. Shares, comments, parents tagging other parents, local news picking it up. Within an hour, 3,000 shares. Hashtag Lily's Law started trending. Parents sharing their own stories about district buses, close calls they'd ignored, complaints that went nowhere. By noon, 50,000 shares. National news calling. Parents gathering outside the district office with signs. Our kids are not budget items. Colton chose bonuses over babies. I drove home to find Lily watching the news on my laptop, tears streaming down her face. Everyone knows now. Everyone knows what happened to me. Will they hate me? I held her tight. No, baby. They're angry for you. Not at you. She pointed at the screen. A CNN reporter standing outside our apartment building. The 7-year-old at the center of this scandal, Lily Chen, lost her hearing permanently when a drunk driver crashed her school bus. I'm not a scandal. I'm just a kid. I turned off the laptop. You're right, you're just a kid. None of this should have happened to you. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mr. Chen, this is the State Attorney General's office. We're opening an immediate criminal investigation into the Riverside School District. We need everything you have. Documents, recordings, witness names. I have it all. Can you come to our office tomorrow morning and bring your sister's medical records? We're building a case for systematic child endangerment. We'll be there. 2 hours later, breaking news interrupted every local channel. Richard Colton being led out of the district office in handcuffs, employees watching from windows, some crying, some cheering. The reporter shoved a microphone in his face. Mr. Colton, did you knowingly endanger children for profit? He looked directly at the camera. Kevin Chen destroyed this district. Thousands of children will suffer because one man couldn't accept that accidents happen. Even now, even in handcuffs, he was blaming me. Frank Torres appeared behind him, being escorted to another police car. The union will fight these false charges. This is about one disgruntled family trying to profit from tragedy. The camera caught Susan being helped into an ambulance. Panic attack, someone said. The weight of what she'd been part of finally crushing her. Lily tugged my sleeve. Is it over now? I looked at the TV. Police cars surrounding the district office, parents demanding answers, reporters everywhere. No, baby, this isn't over. It's just beginning. 6 months after the mediation, I sat in the witness box at Richard Colton's criminal trial. The courtroom was packed. Parents from the Facebook group filled every row. Reporters lined the walls. Colton sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, his $1,000 suits replaced by county jail standard issue. Lily sat in the front row wearing her new hearing aid, the one we could finally afford after the emergency relief fund kicked in. She gave me a small wave. I waved back. The prosecutor stood up. Mr. Chen, please tell the jury about November 14th. I was reviewing divorce papers when the hospital called. Your sister was in a school bus accident, critical condition. When I got there, I heard the driver, Martinez, on his phone. He said he'd only had 2 beers that morning before his shift. The defense attorney jumped up. Objection. Hearsay. The judge looked tired. We've been over this. Mr. Chen's testimony was corroborated by the mediator's recording. Overruled. The prosecutor continued. What happened at the December 3rd mediation? Colton's assistant accidentally included a folder marked confidential, do not submit. It contained emails between Colton and his CFO discussing how they knew about Martinez's DUI 11 months before the crash. They hired him anyway to save money. How much money? $340,000 annually. The exact amount that appeared as administrator bonuses. Colton's lawyer stood for cross-examination. Mr. Chen, you illegally recorded that mediation, didn't you? I had a recording device, yes, without consent. That's a felony in this state. The prosecutor objected. Your Honor, we've established the recording was legal under the Whistleblower Protection Act. The judge nodded. The witness was exposing criminal conspiracy involving children. Move on, counselor. Colton's lawyer tried another angle. You destroyed an entire school district for personal revenge, didn't you? I exposed administrators who endangered children for profit. The district lost insurance, went into receivership. Hundreds of employees lost jobs because they committed fraud, not because I reported it. Colton suddenly stood up. I was protecting the district's financial stability. Everything I did was for the greater good. The judge banged her gavel. Mr. Colton, sit down or I'll have you removed. The prosecutor pulled up an email on the screen. Mr. Chen, please read this message from Mr. Colton dated November 1st. I read it aloud. If anyone asks about the drivers, blame weather. Climate change makes everything believable. The jury members were shaking their heads. One woman was crying. The prosecutor showed another email. And this one from after your sister's accident? The Chen girl's injuries are significant. Stick to the weather story. Her brother is young and broke. He'll fold. I looked at Colton. He was staring at the table now. Mr. Chen, what has been the impact on your sister? Permanent hearing loss in her left ear. PTSD. Chemical exposure from the buses leaking fluids that Colton never reported. She's 7 years old and needs therapy twice a week. The defense made their case. Budget pressures. Difficult decisions. No direct intent to harm. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they came back, the foreman stood. On the charge of criminal endangerment of minors, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud, guilty. On the charge of official misconduct, guilty. Colton's face didn't change, like he'd known it was coming. The judge spoke. Mr. Colton, you betrayed the sacred trust placed in you to protect children. You chose money over their safety. I sentence you to 3 to 5 years in state prison and fine you $500,000. The courtroom erupted. Parents crying, hugging. 3 to 5 years for 47 injured children didn't feel like enough, but it was something. As they led Colton away, he looked at me one last time. You destroyed everything, he mouthed. Number. You did that yourself when you chose bonuses over babies. The fallout started immediately after Colton was led away in handcuffs. Frank Torres tried to hold an emergency union meeting that afternoon. Only 12 drivers showed up. The rest were too angry or scared. When he stood at the podium and said we need to protect our members who were following district orders, someone threw a coffee cup at his head. You knew. A female driver stood up, shaking. You knew Martinez was drunk. You knew about the others. My kids ride these buses, Frank. Torres tried to defend himself. The district made those hiring decisions. I just represented members, but you threatened anyone who questioned it. Another driver pulled out his phone. I have texts from you saying to keep quiet or lose our pensions. Within 3 hours, the union members voted. Frank Torres was removed as representative by a margin of 247 to 31. He left through the back door while parents protested out front. The 4 dangerous drivers were terminated that same day. No hearings, no appeals. The state had already revoked their commercial licenses based on the evidence from the mediation. Martinez's criminal trial was swift. His lawyer tried arguing that the district's culture of covering up accidents had enabled his behavior. The judge wasn't sympathetic. 18 months in state prison for DUI with injury to a minor. He cried when they read the verdict. The civil lawsuits started immediately. The insurance company sued the district for $8.7 million in fraudulent claims they'd paid over 3 years. Every payment made under false pretenses. Every settlement based on lies about weather. The district had no money to fight it. One by one, the administrators fell. The CFO was arrested 2 days after Colton. Conspiracy to commit fraud. The head of HR, terminated and under investigation. The entire school board, forced to resign when emails showed they knew about the scheme. 11 senior staff members gone within a month. Some fired, some arrested, some fled the state before charges could be filed. But Susan's story was different. The FBI interviewed her for 12 hours. She gave them everything. 3 years of emails she'd secretly saved, recording of meetings where Colton discussed the plan, documents she'd photocopied because something felt wrong even if she didn't understand what. The prosecutor announced she was a protected whistleblower. Not only would she avoid charges, but she'd be promoted to interim superintendent while the state sorted out the mess. She called me crying the day she got the job. I don't deserve this. I filed those reports. I helped him. You also saved everything that proved the conspiracy. Without that red folder in the mediation, we'd have nothing. I should have spoken up sooner. When I first suspected something was wrong, we all should have. But you did the right thing when it mattered. The state appointed an emergency oversight board. Forensic accountants went through 3 years of budgets. They found more than we'd imagined. Maintenance skipped, safety equipment never purchased. All so administrators could pocket bonuses. Earl Watson was brought in as a consultant. Finally, someone who actually cared about the buses would have a say in fixing them. His first order, mandatory mechanical inspections every 30 days. No exceptions. Melissa Chang won a Pulitzer for her coverage. She donated half the prize money to the Victims Fund. The other half went to establishing a non-profit journalism project focused on education corruption. The district itself went into state receivership. Bankruptcy was declared. Assets liquidated. The fancy administrative building sold to pay settlements. But the 47 families weren't waiting for the district's money. A class action lawsuit was filed against Colton personally, the board members, and every administrator who'd participated. Their personal assets on the line, their retirement accounts frozen. Sarah Mills became the lead plaintiff. Her son still couldn't walk, but he could speak now, and what he said in his deposition made grown lawyers cry. The new reality was chaos, but it was honest chaos. Real problems being addressed instead of covered up. Real solutions instead of weather excuses. Every morning, I drove past the district office on my way to Lily's therapy. The building that once seemed so imposing now had a for sale sign out front. Justice had come, but at a price the whole community would pay for years. The settlement checks arrived on a Tuesday morning, 8 months after Colton's conviction. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. $2.3 million for Lily's permanent hearing loss, emotional trauma, and ongoing medical needs. It felt like blood money, but we needed it. The doorbell rang. Sarah Mills stood there with tears running down her face. We got ours, $1.8 million. It won't give Jacob his legs back, but we can afford the experimental therapy now. Within a week, all 47 families had received their portions of the $6.2 million settlement. Some got more, some less, depending on injuries. Nobody celebrated. How do you celebrate money that came from your child's suffering? I paid off the medical debt first. $31,000 gone in one wire transfer, the credit cards, the back rent, the lawyer who'd finally agreed to help pro bono but still had expenses. When everything was clear, we still had $2.1 million. I set up a trust for Lily's medical care. The cochlear implant surgery was scheduled for next month. Not a cure, the doctor kept reminding us, but it could restore 40% of her hearing. 40% was better than zero. The surgery took 6 hours. I paced the waiting room until my feet hurt. When they wheeled her out, she looked so small with bandages wrapped around her head again. The moment they turned on the implant 3 weeks later, Lily grabbed my hand. Kevin, your voice sounds weird, like a robot. But I can hear you. We both cried right there in the audiologist's office. The therapy started immediately. Speech therapy to relearn sounds, physical therapy for her balance, psychology twice a week for the PTSD. Dr. Martinez, different Martinez thank God, said she was progressing well. The nightmares were less frequent. She'd stopped flinching when buses drove by, but she'd never be the same kid who got on that bus 13 months ago. The job offers started coming after the trial coverage. 3 big law firms wanted me as a paralegal. Better pay, better benefits, better everything. I turned them all down. Why? Earl asked over coffee. You could make 6 figures, set yourselves up for life, because those firms defend companies like the district. They help cover up. They threaten families like ours. I can't do that. So what will you do? I looked at Lily doing homework at the next table. Her implant blinked blue when it processed sound. She was learning to write with her left hand because the nerve damage affected her right. Something different. Something that matters. I enrolled in law school that fall, part-time program so I could still care for Lily. The settlement money would cover tuition and living expenses. In 4 years, I'd be a lawyer. A real one. Not just a paralegal filing someone else's documents. Sarah Mills started a foundation with her settlement. Safe buses. Now, Earl became the technical advisor. They pushed for quarterly inspections, criminal background checks, and mandatory reporting of all accidents. No more weather excuses. Melissa's investigation had triggered similar probes in 6 other states. Dozens of districts caught hiring dangerous drivers to save money. It became a national scandal. Some nights, I'd lie awake thinking about Colton in prison. 3 to 5 years. He'd be out before Lily finished elementary school. The other administrators got less. Martinez served 10 months. Was it enough? Number. Would it ever be enough? Number. But Lily could hear 40% now. She was learning sign language for when the implant couldn't help. She smiled again sometimes. She made a friend in therapy who also had hearing loss. Small victories in a war we never should have had to fight. The doorbell rang one evening. A process server. Frank Torres is suing you for defamation, he said, seeking $2 million in damages. I almost laughed. Let him try. We had the truth. We had the evidence. And now, finally, we had the resources to fight back. Torres's lawsuit was dismissed in 48 hours, but more battles were coming. 1 year after the mediation, I stood in front of the state legislature. Lily sat beside me in her best dress, the one Mom would have picked. Her cochlear implant blinked steady blue. My name is Kevin Chen. My 7-year-old sister Lily lost her hearing because our school district knowingly hired a drunk driver to save money. She's one of 47 children injured over 3 years while administrators collected bonuses. The committee members actually looked up from their phones. That was rare. Senator Walsh leaned forward. Mr. Chen, what specific changes are you proposing? Sarah Mills stood up behind me. We want Lily's law. Mandatory criminal background checks every 90 days for anyone transporting children. Public database of all school employee records. Whistleblower protection with rewards for reporting safety violations. The opposition lawyer cleared his throat. These measures would cost districts millions. Small towns can't afford this. Lily pulled on my sleeve. She wanted to speak. I helped her to the microphone. My ear doesn't work anymore. Her voice was clear but mechanical through the processor. Mr. Martinez drank beer before driving my bus. Mr. Colton knew. He wanted money instead of safe drivers. Now I need a robot in my head to hear. She touched her implant. Other kids shouldn't need robots too. The room went silent. Even the opposition lawyer looked at his shoes. Senator Park spoke up. How many other districts are doing this? Melissa Chang stood from the press section. My investigation found similar schemes in 19 districts across 6 states. It's systemic. The committee voted that afternoon. Unanimous. Lily's law would go to the full legislature. Walking out, I got a call from a law firm in Chicago. Mr. Chen, we've been following your case. We're starting a division focused on educational negligence. Would you consider joining us after law school? I'm only in my 2nd year. We'll wait. Name your salary. I hung up. Another offer. The 5th this month. Earl met us for lunch. You could take one of those jobs. Set yourselves up for life. I watched Lily carefully eating her sandwich. She had to concentrate on chewing because the nerve damage affected her jaw too. Number. I'm starting my own practice. Families shouldn't need a law degree to fight for their kids' safety. That's risky. You have Lily to think about. Lily looked up. Kevin already thought about me. Now he thinks about other kids too. That's what heroes do. Earl laughed. Smart kid. 2 months later, Lily's law passed. Not just in our state, but 3 others. Federal legislation was being drafted. The anniversary coverage brought everything back. Colton in handcuffs, the mediation recording, Lily in the hospital. They interviewed Colton from prison. He still insisted he'd done nothing wrong, just made tough budget choices. Susan called that night. She was running the district now, trying to rebuild. We implemented everything Lily's law requires, plus more. Every driver gets drug tested monthly. Every bus has cameras. Every complaint gets investigated. That's good. It's not enough. Nothing will undo what happened. But we're trying. I knew she carried guilt. We all did. For not speaking up sooner. For trusting the system. My phone rang. Unknown number from Texas. Mr. Chen, I'm a parent in Houston. Our district just fired 3 teachers who reported safety violations. Can you help? I looked at my law book spread across the table. 2 more years until I could practice, but I could help them find someone now. Give me your email. I'll connect you with resources. After I hung up, Lily climbed into my lap. Are we winning? What do you mean? Against the bad people who hurt kids. I thought about Colton in prison, the district under new management, 47 families with some measure of justice, Lily's law protecting millions of children. Yeah, baby, we're winning. She touched her implant. This thing itches sometimes, and sounds are weird, but I can hear you say you love me. I love you, Lily. Love you too. Her good ear against my chest. Thanks for not giving up, even when I asked you to. That night, she fell asleep listening to music through her implant, soft classical that helped with the tinnitus. I sat at my desk studying tort law, preparing for the battles ahead. They'd taken her hearing, but given us a voice. Now 200,000 children rode safer buses. Not a fair trade, but something. The last line of my essay for constitutional law, they saved $340,000. It cost them everything. But more importantly, it saved countless children from becoming the next Lily Chen. She shouldn't have been the first. She damn sure would be the last. 2 years later, I walked Lily to her first day at Madison Elementary. The new school had reinforced safety protocols. Every driver background checked quarterly. Every bus with cameras and GPS tracking. Every route supervised. Lily wore her pink backpack with a unicorn patch. Her cochlear implant barely visible under her hair that had grown back. She walked straight now. The balance therapy finally working. The principal, Mrs. Henderson, met us at the door. She'd been hired after passing extensive background checks. Criminal, financial, references going back 20 years. Welcome, Lily. We're so happy you're here. She knelt down to Lily's level. I know about your hearing device. We've prepared your teachers and classmates. You'll have preferential seating and we have visual fire alarms. Lily looked at her, then at me, then back at Mrs. Henderson. I'm not scared anymore. That's wonderful, sweetheart. I watched Lily walk into her classroom. She turned back once, waved, then joined a group of kids looking at a class hamster. Normal. Finally normal. My phone rang as I reached my car. Unknown Texas number. Mr. Chen? My name is Patricia Reeves. I'm a parent in Houston. Something's wrong with our district's transportation department. 3 drivers arrested for DUI this year, but they're still driving. The district says it's unrelated incidents. I leaned against my car. What else? They fired a mechanic who reported brake problems, 2 teachers who complained about driver behavior, and yesterday, my daughter said her driver smelled like alcohol at 7 in the morning. I thought about Lily inside, finally safe, then about some other 7-year-old in Houston climbing onto a bus with a drunk driver. Can you help us? I looked back at the school. Through the window, I could see Lily's classroom. She was laughing at something, her hand on another girl's shoulder, making friends, being a kid. Yes, I can help. I gave Patricia the same playbook we'd used. Document everything, find other affected families, contact local media, file FOIA requests. Don't let them intimidate you. After I hung up, I sat in my car for a moment. This was my life now. Law school by day, advocacy by night, helping families fight the systems that were supposed to protect their kids. They took my sister's hearing, but they gave us both a voice. Now 200,000 children rode safer buses because we wouldn't shut up, because we wouldn't accept weather as an excuse, because we proved that a 7-year-old's safety was worth more than a budget line. They saved $340,000. It cost them everything,